Good evening, C3 parents. I'm your coach, Karien Pitout, and welcome to this conversation. I am excited about this conversation. However, this will be the first time that, probably not the first time, but the first time that I can remember at this point in time that I actually have to start our conversation off with a couple of disclaimers. So, first of all, what are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight, we are going to talk about parenting partnerships. It will be the first of hopefully many videos or conversations that we have regarding parenting partnerships or how to parent in a partnership. And the disclaimer that I need to bring in tonight is that I am, first of all, I actually made notes this time. Okay. First of all, I know that not all families is has two parents present or two parents involved in child rearing, because we do have lots of single parent households. So that's the first thing that I am going to acknowledge tonight. I am obviously not going to focus that much on single parent households, because this is about getting parents into a partnership conversation. If you're here, please remember to hit that like button. If you're watching this after the live, please hit or type in hashtag replay in the comments, just so that I know that you were here. All right, the second disclaimer that I need to know to make very, very clear is that when I do make use of gendered language tonight, it is because due to the social construct of gender and how certain genders are raised in a certain way or socialized in a certain way. And it is important to acknowledge, especially that history, that deep trodden history that we are still slowly but surely breaking down within our society. But the reality is that the majority of households do function in a certain gendered archetype, and we cannot have a conversation of um, parenting partnerships without actually discussing or touching on gendered or social gendered development, on how we are basically raised and how we actually implement that in the households. And then the last one is, I am fully aware that not all families is heteronormative. We do obviously have same sex parenting households. So I'm going to try to be as inclusive as possible when we talk about this topic or having this conversation. So um, please feel free to join in. Please feel free to comment. Please let me know how your parenting journey is going with your life partner. This is a conversation. If I say anything that you have a question about, please type it in the comment section. I'll try to get to as many questions as possible at the end of the video if there is any questions. Otherwise, let's get started and let's dive in. And guys, please remember to hit that like button. It really helps out this channel and it lets other people know that we are actually ready and we're going. So, tonight I'm going to touch on 5 things that we need to take into account when we actually want to pull our significant other into this parenting partnership, into becoming an equal parent, just as involved parent as we are, and allowing whomever is the primary caregiver to actually let go some of their mental load that they have regarding raising parents. So, the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that if you are a two parent situation where there's two parents involved, whether you are co parenting in two separate households with children, um, whether you are in one household, regardless of gender dynamics of the parental unit, you are supposed to be a team and try to be on the same page. Now, being on the same page, there is certain power dynamics that comes into play. If you were raised in a culture or in a framework or in a space where a lot of times it's almost as if the female person, or the person occupying the primary caregiver space, which is gendered, socialized, mostly female, um, that person is the person that in general will read up most things or ask most things about parenting because they have certain tick boxes. There is a certain drive because the primary caregiver basically states that they are the person that has to carry the most responsibility in raising a child. Now, what happens in our normative relationships within the society that we have, yes, there's outliers, yes, there's obviously, so please don't come hashtag at me with not all men or not all women. Um, it's there's almost a stereotypical thing that plays a role in especially in certain cultures or within the broader society, that it would be the woman that is the primary caregiver. There's a biological thing that happens there as well, but in general it's also about the way that girls are raised, and the boy or the male will be the secondary caregiver. And when the primary caregiver does all the research about parenting, reads up, learns new things, and they try to implement it, things that they're trying to implement sometimes fall to the wayside due to the fact that whomever is the male counterpart within the parenting unit and the secondary caregiver uh, gets to say no and gets to put their foot down, whether that and usually they are not as informed as the primary caregiver in regards to the information or the research that they've done. Now that makes teamwork extremely difficult, and that is usually where the biggest fights or the most difficult conversations actually happen when I work with clients, or when we actually go through our parenting courses and workshops. Is it's all good and well that the primary caregiver is doing the course and attending the workshops, but if the secondary caregiver is not there, it's very difficult to get that teamwork up and running. It's very difficult to actually invite them into this journey because there's this mindset, because of the fact that they occupy the space of male gender, um, that the buck stops with them and they've got the final say, the head of the household perspective. And even in our home, yes, my husband, by choice of it is basically the choice of our household, that my husband is the head of the household. But when it comes to raising the kids, making important decisions regarding the kids, um, 99.999% of the time, it is a team decision. We sit, we talk, I put things on the table, he puts things on the table, but he would always turn back and say, okay, but you're the one that did the research. You're the one that spends most of the time with the kids. You're the one that engages the kids. So you've got a better idea of where the kids are at. And so when it comes to that kind of teamwork, we need to understand that the person that spends the most time with the kids is usually the one that would be in a better space to make a more the closest to the correct choice as what a parent can get to regarding how to raise the kids and what kind of parenting styles to or things to apply in the household. If you and your spouse or you and your parenting partners not on the same page, whether it comes to gentle discipline, whether it comes to screen time, or whatever important decisions there is to be made regarding the kids, um, one of the ways that we in general I in general encourage the primary caregivers to do is to actually go and say, okay, instead of having this whole big word vomit and giving them the cliff notes of the research that you've done, because a secondary parent often the feedback when we have those conversations, the feedback is, oh, but they won't read the article, they won't watch the video, they don't want to participate in this whole thing. They're very stuck in their ways. Um, and it's because they, first of all, not don't necessarily think that it is needed, because it's not their primary responsibility to get these kids like grown up. They do feel an extremely deep sense of responsibility, but when it comes to the mental load, they don't carry the mental load. So there's almost like not a big driving factor for them to watch the videos, to read the articles, to do those kind of things. So a lot of times us passing on the articles or sending the videos actually ends up not being watched, not being read, and falling among deaf ears. So the ideal thing is to take the article that you've read or the video that you've watched, make a summary checklist, like a one pager that you can put up on the fridge. You can sit down with your significant other and say, okay, this is what I've read, this is what they say the outcome will be. I would really like to try this because of XYZ reasons and things that I've picked up in the household. This is how easy it is to implement this, and that's all. Can we try this for 2 weeks or 3 weeks and then sit down and see if it worked for us as a family, or what of this did not work that we need to adjust for our family as a unit? In that way, you are not basically telling them that they are a problematic parent. What you're doing is saying, listen here, I have found something that can improve our parenting journey and our relationship with our kids. And that is why we can move forward. That is a way that we can move forward. Let's try this out. Let's move forward with this. And a lot of families have found when this approach is used, a lot of the times the secondary parent actually go like, oh, okay, you know what, this works. And they slowly but surely then learn out of what you've learned. But it is not a battle, because a lot of times, because of the way that we are raised, often we are raised with the idea that adults are never wrong, and that it's a weakness to admit that you're wrong, or uh, there's so many other overcomplicated undertones in conversations, that if we go to our significant other or our spouse and say, listen here, I want us to stop spanking the kids. And this person was raised with spanking and they still hold on to the idea that spanking is a really good way to raise kids. And after the research you've done, you realize, okay, well, it's not, it's actually quite damaging. How do we change this in the household without telling my significant other, my parenting partner, listen here, you have been abusing the kids, you have been hurting the kids, and or that we have been doing this wrong and you are wrong? Because what they hear is you're wrong, you're wrong. Immediately the defenses comes up immediately. So there's no incentive for them to say, okay, let's try this. Where when you go and say, you know what, we've really been struggling with tantrums and all of that, and nothing we do really seems to help navigate this world of tantrums. I've discovered this video and it explains exactly how to do it a little bit differently. A lot of parents swears by its success. Can we try this method for the next 2 weeks and see if we cannot navigate tantrums a little bit better? Because it's something that I've been struggling with and I spend a lot of times with the kids. But one of the goals, or one of the things for children, is if both parents, or both if both parents are on the same page regarding how we manage certain behaviors, then it creates a safe environment for them, and our children actually engages better with the situation, or engages better with their environment, and their behavior actually improves. And approaching it from that's like, listen, yeah, I've picked up a problem, here's a solution I found, this is the steps how to apply it, let's do it, let's try it. And you'll find that a lot of times, actually experiencing then success in those small little steps helps work on the parenting teamwork dynamic. So um, the teamwork is the first important thing. The second thing is taking things incrementally and step by step, like little tiny steps, one article at a time, one parenting strategy at a time, and move from there. Because the moment we actually take it one step at a time, it is not so overwhelming. The change, it makes it more gradual, it makes it easier, and it makes it easier to adapt, and it is less confronting regarding our social gendered construct of male and female roles, but as well as this the social construct of the power dynamics between child and parent. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to look at the take the power dynamics into account when we parent our kids, so that we can always remember that our children are whole human beings, and they're just on a journey learning, growing, and developing, and they need guidance. The third one is the knowledge transfer. Once you've had your success and the new method works, and you guys are experiencing, or you guys, you as a family you're experiencing success, and then you start transferring certain knowledge, where you start saying, okay, you know what, this have worked. Oh, guess what, I've discovered that, this is the same person, or it's the same type of parenting style. We've been so successful with managing the tantrums. Here's a new thing that's coming to the forefront. Can we try this? And you slowly but surely have conversations throughout, and that creates a cooperative environment where both parents are working as a team. And then the last one, number 5, is basically stopping excluding or allowing exclusion. So so often, as parents, I even grew up in a household where the threat was, wait until your father gets home. Basically, I am powerless until the other parent comes into the space. And besides that, that is basically a threatening inclusion of a parent that might not be that involved with the kids in that particular journey with the relationship with the kids. But it also creates a space where we exclude the secondary caregiver. We kind of push them to the sides. Very often, and we will see that parents, especially the primary caregiver, will be afraid to leave the baby with the secondary caregiver, just to go to the shops, or to actually go out and take a mental break for an hour or two. And this is a bit of a difficult topic, and I will definitely deep dive into it with our next conversation. So be ready to to bring the difficult conversation part of that with. But basically, what it boils down to is that we don't give the secondary, especially if we're the primary caregiver, don't often give the secondary caregiver space to interact with the kids in their own way. We have a certain way that works for us. We change the diaper this way, we bath the baby that way, we feed the baby on this way, all those little things. And then we are scared to leave our kids with the secondary caregiver, because they've never changed the diaper, they've never fed the baby, they never dressed the baby, they didn't bath the baby, and and we treat them as if they are immature children. And we create an environment where they don't have to be involved and build a relationship. If we go look at the brain development of a child, the first 7 years when it comes to forming attachment and building relationship with people, the first 7 years of their life is the most vital part. That is literally where you create the strongest possible bond. So the longer it takes for the primary caregiver to give space for the secondary caregiver to relate to the child in their own way, to build a relationship with the child in their own way, to do things for the baby, like changing the diaper, feeding the child, bathing the child, spending time with them on their own, the more disjointed the relationship becomes between the child and the secondary caregiver, the more difficult it is for them to relate to each other. No parent can wait until a child is capable of reasoning. If you go look at the brain development, good luck, because a fully reasoning, fully matured brain is only fully there at the age of 25. Now, obviously, a lot of parents say, "Now, I wait until my child can talk, then, or can run around, and then I can play with him because I don't know what to do with a baby that lies in my arms." A baby that lies in your arms is a baby that is busy bonding with you, a baby that you're cuddling, a baby whose diaper you change, a baby that you bath, a baby that you feed, a baby that you try to entertain with your silliness or even just with your peace and calm and your quietness. That baby bonds with you. And if we as primary caregivers keep on interfering, keep on trying to take the baby out, oh no, you're not doing it right, give it to me. Those kind of interference actually makes it more and more likely that the secondary caregiver will just not be involved with the kids until they feel comfortable where the kids can help themselves, go to the toilet by themselves, feed themselves, do all the things for themselves. Um, because we broke their spirit, we broke their curiosity in the beginning. And it's unfortunately that is the story of a lot of secondary parents that I speak to, that I work with, that I journey with. Is, oh, but I wanted to change the diaper, and then she screamed at me, and baby was crying, and I was overwhelmed, so I just gave up. I just didn't want to change a diaper again. um, she went to the shower, baby was crying the whole time. I felt extremely overwhelmed. When she got out of the shower, she was upset with me because she felt like she had to rush because I couldn't get the baby to calm down. The reality is, primary caregivers, that babies take a while to calm down when they're separate, especially the first 2 years. They brain is created to think that I will die if I'm not with my primary caregiver. So obviously they experience a little bit of distress when the secondary caregiver is there holding them and the primary caregiver disappears. It's normal. And yes, you're going to feel rushed to get the shower done, but it's not the secondary caregiver's fault that the baby is crying. And every single time that you are angry and frustrated and you just snatch the baby away, you are giving the message to the baby that, ooh, this person is to be feared. Or things are not okay with this person because when this person holds me and I get back to my primary caregiver, hmm, there's problems. This my primary caregiver is stressed out. So obviously, secondary caregiver gets into the picture, and that's the cue for baby to start crying. And it just creates a vicious cycle. So I'm not saying do not respond to a baby that's crying, but understand that a secondary caregiver, there's certain things that is a challenge for them, and we need to take that into account. Invite them into bathing baby, invite them into change the clothing, even if they put the onesie the wrong way around and the diaper the wrong way around. The only way that people learn to take care of babies is by actually spending time with a baby and being left to deal with the baby, whether the baby is happy or whether the baby is unhappy. That's the reality. And the more we delay that connection, the more we push them to the side, exclude them from things, the more your social media conversations in parenting groups will be, oh, but my significant other is not involved. My significant other is ignoring the baby. They're not helping. I feel like I'm doing everything for myself. But unfortunately, that invitation of taking care of the baby without interfering how they take care of the baby is important. That said, some significant others, guys and girls. Oh, that was okay. No, no, do not use those words. I just need to quickly edit myself there. Secondary caregivers. Okay, there was a bit of a drop on the internet. Sorry about the lag. Secondary caregivers. Listen carefully. If you have been part of either, whether it's adopting, whether it is creating new life, whether it is, even if it is your life partner's child of someone else, the moment you are in a commitment that there is a child involved in the relationship, you need to grow up, take accountability, and actually be involved. Yes, parenting is overwhelming. The primary caregivers also feel overwhelmed just because majority of the time the primary caregiver was raised in a gendered know how to take care of a child kind of environment or socialization does not mean that they are not also like going through a learning curve. You are not a child anymore. You are an adult and you need to start taking accountability, take responsibility, and start applying it. And no, taking changing a diaper, changing the clothing is not just a woman's job. You are a parent. Start meeting the bar of actually being a parent. It is so sad that so often we have households and families where there's two parents in the home, but actually there is one parent doing the parenting and the other person is not involved, whether by their own choice or whether by being scolded so many times in the first couple of months of the baby's life that they are actually scared of trying to be involved. But it is really a significant problem that, come on. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Okay. And I kind of lost where I was. All right. Um, it is extremely important that in the long run that we actually have honest conversations with each other where we sit down, that where we not just hold ourselves to a higher standard, but that we also hold our significant others to the standard and treat them with the approach of, well, there's the baby, take care of it, take care of them. It's That's how it goes. So it is an extremely and I keep on saying extremely because it is so vital to trust the secondary caregiver to be able to take care of the kids and to give them opportunities to make mistakes and learn from them and move forward, and to treat them like the adults they are supposed to be. If we keep on treating our significant others like children, we're not going to get anything else from them than childlike behavior. So we need to step up. And the last, like really, really the last thing about this regarding the teamwork, if you're raising kids together, it means that you need to be able to talk to each other, have honest conversations, speak to each other, and not like overrule each other in front of the kids, but actually have conversations and plan together on how you're going to tackle things regarding the kids, whether it's bedtime, whether it's clothing, whether it's school, whether it's have honest conversations with each other and share your concerns without getting defensive. And if any person in the relationship gets defensive when you're having that conversation, to pause that conversation so that both can calm down and you can get back to the table. Because in the end of the day, if we go and attack each other and, oh, yeah, but you're doing it this way and you're doing it wrong, and it's breaking down the parenting team and it's breaking down the parenting partnership, and that makes a child feel more insecure. Where if we're capable of regulating our emotions, having conversations without getting defensive, and actually start talking things through rationally with each other as a team, and if you think that your significant other made a mistake regarding a call on how to do something with the kids, then going to that them instead of saying, "Oh yeah, but you were wrong," in front of the kids, or even in that tone of voice behind, like when the kids are not there, you need to go to them and say, "Listen, you know what? This and this happened, and I actually disagree with what you did there. Can we talk it through? Can we have a conversation about this?" And then after that, like having that conversation with each other, then going and say, okay, this is the solution we came up with, and this is how we are going to do it in the future. But if you're not open to work together as a team and as equals when raising your kids, you're going to end up fighting a lot, because children takes a lot of teamwork, takes a lot of decision making, and it takes a lot of caring for each other and leaving space for each other's humanity moving forward, and teaching our children what it is to be human and to have disagreements. And basically, kids need to learn how to fight. So if you do have to have a difference of opinion or a different in how you want to do things in front, and it has to happen in front of their, do it in a way that they learn how to handle it instead of them being scared of upsetting either one of the parents. That is why I'm going to end tonight's conversation. Please remember, guys, to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It's really amazing to have these conversations with you. If you watched this after the live, please remember to hit to type in hashtag replay in the comments. Please drop your comments, your questions, your agreements, your disagreements in the comment section. I would love to hear from you, guys. Please stay safe, wash your hands, wear your masks, and if you qualify already, get your vaccines, get vaccinated. Let's work together to keep each other safe. I love you, and I'll see you guys again in 2 weeks' time. For the foreseeable future, the YouTube channel will have a live every 2 weeks. Um, until we have sorted out our studio and recording slots and all of that. And then we'll go back to still having our lives every 2 weeks, but then also releasing pre-recorded videos. You can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. And we'd love to see you and we'd love to hear you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak into your lives and being here. Stay safe and remember to hit that like button. Cheers.